Cracks are not good. That's what we're going to get rid of. That will never, ever, ever go away unless you do what I'm telling you and you treat it. You can burn it. Some people V it. I've seen all kinds of little tricks to try to get rid of it the easy way. You will never get rid of that crack unless you do what I'm going to show you to do.
I'm Becky. I used to live in the consumer rat race just like you. But one day I had enough, so I sold it all, moved to the country, and built my own log cabin with my own two hands. Now I spend my time discovering new ways to live a simple, healthy lifestyle with more free time and way less stress. Then sharing what I've learned with you. Welcome to Becky's Homestead.
This chipping has nothing to do with this crack. It does not create the crack and it does not get rid of the crack. It's completely two separate issues. Chipping is good, cracks are bad. Look at this foot. This foot has chipping, no crack. The crack is a completely separate issue. First, what I'm going to do is show you how to dig out the hole. Digging out the hole is a very important part of this procedure. You have to be a little brave to dig out the hole. You can't be like, if you're squeamish, it's probably not the job for you. These cracks are always in the same spot. Here's the crack from the bottom, what it'll look like. And I'll show it to you again after I dig it out. It's always right in the middle. It's a toe crack. Okay, now this is tough hoof that I'm digging. This isn't soft or mushy. And as you can see, what I wanted to tell everybody is that crack. Let's get it from this side now. So I'm going to use my Swiss Army pocket knife, the handy dandy. From the bottom, it's going to look like we're digging a deep, deep hole, and we are, because this crack doesn't end there. This crack probably goes up this high under the hoof wall. So the hole is going to be quite deep. But if you dig it out properly, it doesn't hurt the horse at all. And there's no danger of hurting the horse. So let me go back on the other side of the hoof and keep digging. Okay, now, as you can see, that crack. I'm trying to get this hoof out of there because what's up in there is a fungus. And if you don't get it out and open it up to soak it, it's never going to heal. I'm going to go get my snips and I'm going to snip that point like that. So we're going to snip that out of the way. Now this V alone will not cure this crack because that's what some farriers will do. They'll do that and leave it at that. And it will not cure the crack. The crack will just come back.
The crack will come back.
The crack will come back.
No more, no more.
So I'm still digging. It's surprisingly deep. But as you can see, I'm using a small blade, I'm going slow, and I'm staying right up against the hoof wall. Because there is a bone right here. The coffin bone. You can see I'm probably to the end of the crack, but it goes beyond that, like I said. So let the horse rest for a second. Good news about digging out the crack is you only have to do this step once. The rest of the procedure is just soaking the hoof. So it's a one-time thing, so you might as well just take your time. You can do it over several days. You don't even have to do it all at once. If it's too strenuous or the horse doesn't cooperate, which makes it 10 times harder, that's fine. Take your time. We're not in an important part of his hoof yet, so it doesn't hurt him at all.
Are there any farriers who would watch this and be like, oh my God, she's crazy?
No. They might say this technique doesn't work. I've heard other farriers say it, and I've never had it fail, and I've treated horses that have had the crack. I bought Barney. Barney had the same farrier came to do him that been treating him for years, and he said the horse had that hoof problem for years. I learned this from an old farrier that treated a horse that had a toe track crack like this for years and years and years. It was an old thoroughbred off the track. And I cured that with that man's know-how and encouragement. I could probably cut more of this away and even the hoof, but I'm going to tell you why I'm not. I'm leaving it, I'm leaving it because after we soak it, I'm going to put some copper sulfate crumbles in there and I'm going to stick a piece of cotton in there. So if I cut it all away, nothing would hold the cotton ball. And I'll show you that in a minute. That's a very important part of the procedure. Okay, so that's good. Next step, we're gonna do the soaking. This is the product you have to use. If you look on the ingredients, it says 99% copper sulfate. Let me pour some in the cap so they can get a good look at it. It's like iridescent blue nuggets. It ends up being about a cup. Let me emphasize, this is root killer. So when we're through this, I'm not going to dump it under any tree or vegetation or anything that's valuable to me. I'm going to take this and dump it in the middle of my stall, because who cares if there's no roots in there, or I would take it in my driveway. It does take a minute for this to dissolve. While that's dissolving a little more, I'm going to go over here and get a flake of hay for my horse. I'm going to shake it out a little for him so he doesn't have to shake his head. There we go. So you want to make it as convenient as possible for you and the horse. So it's okay that it's not quite dissolved yet. I'm still going to start soaking his foot because he might as well have his foot in it. So obviously the horse's foot is dirty because he's been walking around. It doesn't matter. Pick up your foot. You can't move the horse to the bowl, so you have to move the bowl to the horse. Stand. Congo, it takes a second to get his foot in there, but he will. You gotta be patient. Put it down right there. On it. There. Good boy. Okay. So hopefully you just hopefully he'll stand there. He might not. He might move it. He might spill it. He might tip it over. Stand, 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 stand. And then you just move it over and try to put his foot back in it. It's dirty, it gets really dirty. But it doesn't matter. Stand up. Good boy. Good boy, Pongo. That fly biting your hole. I'm sorry. Now we wait. Okay, it's been 15 minutes, so we're going to take his foot out of there and I'm going to show you how to pack it. In this step, we're going to crush a little bit of this to put down in the hole. So you don't need much, that tiny little bit. And I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to crush it with my knife. I want this to fit sprinkled down in that hole. And then I'm going to put that cotton ball in there. And this will continue killing the fungus while he's walking around just every day. And then you just have to repeat this procedure, the soaking, and we'll call this the packing, like we can even wait 4 days, every 3 or 4 days. So it's, once you do this initial dig out, soaking and all that, it's much easier. I'm going to take this copper sulfate and I'm going to dump it in the hole, just the best you can. Put that down. I'm going to try to push that in there best I can. And then what I like to do is I like to dip this cotton ball and get it wet in the copper sulfate, and then you put it in the hole. Don't worry about pushing it in there. It's not going to get stuck forever. And then you push that cotton ball down in the hole to hold that copper sulfate in there. And that cotton ball comes out easier than you think because it dries out. And it'll be kind of sitting right there to get out easy. So push that down in there the best you can. Which his isn't going in there too far because his isn't that bad. And then you're pretty much done. And then you just put the horse back in the pasture. It's that simple. There you go. It's been 3 days, so I'm gonna dig the cotton out of Pongo's foot, soak it, and repack it. The first thing I'm going to do is put our copper sulfate in our little pot to soak. A half a cup, because I made the water more shallow. I'm going to use this stick and just stir that up until the water turns blue. Okay, while that's dissolving, I'm going to go ahead and crush up a little bit that I'm going to pack the little crack hole with. I'm going to crush this so it goes powdery. It doesn't matter if it little spills. I'm going to put my hand around it though, to try to keep it from bouncing out. I want to try to get it as fine as I can because it's just going to be more effective. What I want to do now is I'm going to show you Pongo's hoof and what it looks like. It's still actually a little blue. I'm just going to clean it really good so I can have a look at it. It looks like that hole is completely packed with dirt, but I'm going to show you as soon as I get my knife out that it isn't. And that cotton will be under there. So you'll see the hole is not completely packed with dirt. That was a little piece of cotton. It just fell out, although it's a dirty piece. Can you see the piece of cotton right there? See? So it stays in there and keeps that. It's all dried out now. It's not wet anymore. And then it's just the hollow hole. You can see that right there his hoof is blue. All right, I think he's ready to go. Okay, so I'm going to move it close to the horse so the horse doesn't have to stretch or anything. Put it down, Pongo. Put it down. Good boy. Now, if he stays like this, that's fine because his toe's in there. That's all we need in there. But you'd like to see him relax and stand up on it. Stand. Good boy. There you go. Good boy. Okay, and then just time that. If you can get it in there for 15 minutes, that'd be awesome. If you take your horse to the same hitching post all the time, he'll be comfortable there. And, you know, give him some hay. He should just stand there and let his foot soak for 15 minutes. If he's being good, I just leave him be. I don't try to settle him or pet him or get him going. If he just eats, I try to be as still and as quiet as possible. If you have a very nervous, antsy-dancy horse, I mean, just keep putting it back in there and do the best you can for as long as you can. I like to teach my horses to stand really well because I'm my own farrier and I do their feet myself. So I take the time to teach my horses to stand nicely and be calm. How you realize you're having success with your treatment is the crack will not continue to split up the hoof. That's what happens. You'll trim the hoof, it'll be nice and short, and it'll look like the crack's not very long. And you'll think, oh, it's going away. And then as soon as the hoof grows out a bit, the crack splits up the hoof. It stays like at a certain point. You just cannot get rid of it no matter what you do. So your first signs of success are the crack will not continue to split up the hoof. It still takes quite some time to have it grow all the way down to the bottom where you can cut that crack completely off. You have to keep treating the crack the entire time it's growing down. You can do it longer intervals in between the soaking and packing, but you still have to continue doing that. Otherwise, the fungus will get right back up in there and it'll just start all over again. It's not that hard to fix it. It's just a little time consuming. It's been 15 minutes and I'm going to lift it out of there and pack it. Pick it up, Pongo. Pongo. Good boy. Good boy. Nice and wet. I'm going to move this over. Okay, I'm going to tip that way up. Get that in the hole. I'm going to use my knife and I'm going to push that in there. Goes in there pretty good because it's wet. And the soaking, I don't want that in there. I'm going to keep pushing. I don't want that in there. There's a little piece of hay. Alright, I'm going to get my piece of cotton. Rip a little piece off. Get! I'm going to dip it in the water over here. I'm going to put that piece of cotton there. I'll try to shove it in there the best I can. I got a big piece of cotton, but The dirt pushes the cotton up in there more. Oops, darn it. As he steps around on it. So try to shove that in there as best you can over that copper sulfate. Pongo's a very good horse. As you can see, Pongo's very cooperative, obedient, calm. He stands here very, very nicely. So I'm going to just hit that in there the best I can. Okay, and then you just put the foot down and whatever, he's done. Okay, so there we go. And I'm just going to do that every 3 to 4 days. Soak his foot and repack it.
Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or suggestions, please email me and Doodles. Happy homesteading. Bye-bye.
Sign up for Becky's Homestead newsletter. Go to beckysHomestead.com and sign up on the right. You'll get articles, news, and specials from Becky every month. Unsubscribe anytime, no spam.